Hello friends, this is Dr. Ranjit Singh once again with you with another lecture in which we will discuss how dramatic works are associated with human life and how human life in itself is very dramatic. We usually think that pretend games are confined to children, but this is not so. Dramatic work is used a good deal nowadays in the cure of mental and nervous disorders, a fact which seems to support the view that pretend games are a valuable outlet for our feelings. Some psychiatrists encourage their patients to act out things that have distressed them, and this is now sometimes done in groups so that the members of the group have also the advantage of helping each other and working in cooperation. But all of us are acting in quite another way for a large part of our lives. At work or with some of our acquaintance, wherever there is a considerable mixture of generations or of cultures, in an uncongenial community or in some post of responsibility, we have to act in order to spare people gain, keep the peace or protect ourselves. Students of the Jung may like to relate this to the concept of the persona. We almost all have to wear a mask over our real personality in our social life. Sometimes we need several interchangeable masks. This social need can easily turn into a false, hypocritical, self-deceiving way of life. It is perhaps least harmful when we recognize it for what it is, acting for the sake of stability in life. Then we may even begin to take an artistic interest in it and resent its needs less fiercely. As we all know, the formal drama originated in religious festivals in Greece. The Greek drama, which eventually included some of the greatest tragedies of the world, has yet known in the 5th and 6th century BC, developed out of the rituals of the annual festival of Dionysius, the god of fertility, the god of wine and fertility. Though the exact details of how this happened are still uncertain. British drama began with bits of dialogue intended to make the Easter celebrations in church more vivid and impressive. And it is known that there were religious and ritual origins of the Jewish drama, the Chinese drama, all European Christian drama, and probably the Indian drama also. In South America, the conquering Spaniards brought miracle plays to Indians who already had a dramatic tradition that had developed out of their primitive cults. What happened in Europe and with modifications elsewhere was that a ritual was made more impressive and lucid by introducing a fragment of dialogue and perhaps dignified mime. This was such a success that it developed gradually into something longer, into a little play. Gradually, the play developed into an elaborate art form and became secularized until in many countries a paradoxical opposition between church and stage developed. Examples of this being seen in Puritan England and in Catholic France in the time of Molière. The earliest acting was done by priests and their assistants, and one of the causes of the increasing secularization of the drama was that laymen had soon to be called in to fill parts in the expanding cast. As the drama became a form of secular entertainment, its scope widened. Naturally, love scenes and battles cannot properly be represented in a church, and also it became more self consciously artistic until in the late 17th century, nearly early play had a prologue asking for the goodwill of the critics. Today, acting is recognized as a liberal profession and a lofty vocation. Ritual as known today still includes an element of drama. A marriage service with its symbolic actions and vows, a funeral service, a commemoration service, a degree ceremony, a military parade, or a coronation have obvious bits of drama in them. An instinctive love of acting, both of taking part in drama and of watching it, seems to be one of our genuine social and psychological needs. Most people in any kind of authority know the value of a little ceremony in bringing a community together. It is disintegrating. The healthful effect of dramatic work on children and students is usually very noticeable. Acting or play reading encourages their poise and self-confidence. It seems to stimulate intelligence and aids the development of such social virtues and cooperation, helpfulness, and responsibility. It improves the voice and therefore often makes it easier for the student to be articulate and fluent in conversation. There is some evidence that it also helps emotional development on deeper levels. For our present civilization is rather afraid of strong emotions, and when we are taught too soon to hide them, we may become incapable of feeling them again until they are restored to us by the experience of acting strong emotional parts. Moreover, drama is the only art which is still inescapably communal. Poetry can be written for a small cultured minority and even perhaps gain in some respects thereby. Prose of any kind is normally read in silence and privacy, but a play needs a group of actors to interpret it and usually has an audience to respond to it. A communal experience can be very satisfying, though people who are unable to be alone are as sick in mind as those who fear to be in society. If the desire for collective experience is not satisfied in such harmless and often beneficial ways as organized worship, innocuous public ceremonies, drama, community singing, some musical activities, excursions, harmless societies, and team games, there is a risk that it may take such forms as howling for the blood of Jews, lynching, or marching to war. To play any part in the creation of a play as author, actor, producer, or stagehand is to take part in a communal experience of a worthwhile creative kind. Drama at its best is an exercise of the imagination, not only for the writer, producer, and actors, but also for the audience. The writer of plays creates characters and places them in situations that are interesting and in some way relevant to general human experience. The actor tries to live for a short time as another person and enter into the feelings and thoughts of an imaginary character, thus not only increasing his range of imagined experiences, but probably deepening his own personal life. But the audience forms the third side of the great triangle of responses, which is drama. This is the side on which the student is most often found. The intelligent and cooperative audience is submitting itself to a new experience, accepting a sample of life and tasting it, sharing in the lives of imaginary people, not altogether unlike live persons. Out of that experience, there should come deeper insight, wider sympathies, and an increase of charity. But there is also a sense of relief. Aristotle speaks of the tragic catharsis when he says the purging by pity and fear. There is a kind of harmless discharge of emotions. We are moved by imagined painful events, but this does not distress us as it would if they were known to be real. Similarly, it is natural, though unethical, to laugh at people who are ridiculous. To do this much in real life would brand us callous and despicable. But on the stage, ridiculous people may be seen in embarrassing situations, and we laugh with no sense of guilt. Indeed, we know that more we laugh, the more the actors will be pleased. We may also sometimes feel relief at being able to laugh at things which in real life are not at all funny, such as the broken marriages of restoration comedy or the crime in Priestley's Laburnum Grove play. Drama is thus an expression of instinctive desires, a valuable outlet, and a rich educational experience. And it has the loftiest associations. But it is also necessary for the student of drama to recognize that today there is a commercial drama just as there is commercial fiction. That is a drama that is written and staged primarily in the hope of earning money, and whose audience assembles chiefly in the hope of an evening's diversion. It is very prevalent in England today. But this is not at all the only age or the burst in which it has been seen. There is nothing dishonorable in commercial drama unless it is artistically or morally so debased as seriously to degrade taste, like the shallow melodramas of the 19th century or the revolting spectacles of the decadence in ancient Rome. The drama that provides mere amusement, escape from life, wish fulfillment, distraction is as useful and as harmful as the detective story, the crossword, the inferior film, the bridge game. It provides a relief for strained and tired minds and bodies. All pleasure is good so long as it does no positive harm. But these diversions can, with some people, become a stupid and meaningless addiction. As students of the drama, we are concerned mostly with that drama has permanent literary value, sometimes called the legitimate drama. And it will generally be found that if it has real literary merit, it also has emotional force, intellectual interest, a high standard of wit, if appropriate, and some set of stated or implied values. It is necessary to remember that artistic and commercial drama are not found on opposite sides of a rigid golden curtain. As in all questions of taste, morality, there is far more grey in the world than black or white. Most dramatists have written in part for money. It seems certain that Shakespeare himself did, and indeed, to be divorced from any need to make money out of their work seems to be harmful to authors as often as it is helpful. Someone who does not have to earn a living is immediately cut off from one of the continuously important aspects of normal life. and his view of life may become unreal or distorted. Money is not the only criterion. It is not difficult to tell a play which gives nothing but diversion from a play that has more to offer. And plenty of plays, including those of the greatest dramatists, include both elements. One of the essentially pathetic facts about human life is that as far as we know, we have only one rather short life. And the possibilities of experience in one life are very small. We can normally have only one kind of career, one type of body, one temperament, one marriage, a few children, one nationality, one religion, one political affiliation, one kind of home, and one kind of death. And every decision we make in a given situation is irreversible. We can never go back and take the left fork in the road instead of the right, or see what would have happened if we had plugged that golden bough instead of pursuing that bluebird. The variations possible for one person are limited even when variations are possible at all. We have none of us much idea what it is like to be someone else. All through life we have to make choices which limit us further. We have to let many things and worse people go we should like to study, seek, change, love or serve. Simply we have not the time or the ability. In acting or going to see plays, we can live many lives by proxy and so have at least the illusion of widening our experiences. This is very satisfying. We can have by proxy and in perfect safety exciting critical experiences. We can feel tremendous storms of emotion, such as it is hardly held permissible to experience in real life. We can be both respectable and criminal, mad and sane, loving and isolated, old and young. We can change our sex. We can also, in comedy, make fools of ourselves. And this too is satisfying, for there is a hidden clown in the steadiest of us, and two, we may unconsciously believe that by acting the fool, we propitiate the ancient gods and they will spare us the ignominy of looking fools at some time when it is not convenient. Lastly, the writer of drama, even of a drama created in the classroom or the home for strictly local consumption, becomes more than human for a time. And as we all wish in our more reckless moments, becomes an omnipotent, omniscient, and gloriously irresponsible creator who makes persons and destroys them, moves them about with ruthless indifference, and nevertheless is going no harm to fill him. Later, with self questioning and remorse. The satisfactions of every kind of creation are deep and lasting. But possibly the drama offers the most intense satisfactions of all. In view of the immense satisfaction to be had from anything to do with plays, the releases of repressed emotions, the excitements of creation, the violent emotional impacts that give sharp and unforgettable pleasure, the enrichment brought by collective experience, the increasing of imagination, feeling and sympathy, and development of inquiry and speculation, as well as the pure aesthetic pleasure of the theatre. It is not surprising that life haters, the Puritans, the narrow-minded, the people who fear and hate happiness and human sympathy, are violent and continuous opponents of the theatre, if more than of the other arts. This may in part account for the practice of studying plays as scripts only in many schools and colleges, for many details in the history of education may be explained by the perpetual war. Nowadays, as marked in education as in any field, between the Puritans, the life haters, and the humanists and creators, a war in which some compromise has often been necessary, all the arts are a menace to the Puritan. They give pleasure and they stimulate an interest in full and sincere living. But the theatre is the most dangerous because its impact is the most violent and immediate. The arts are alive, and for the Puritan, it is so much easier and safer to be dead. Hence, we discussed here the affiliations, the associations between drama and human life, and to what extent drama influences human life since childhood to the last time. Through drama, we get a world full of imagination where we can live those lives which we wish to live. This is all for today. Thank you.